Peace and love. This is Mark. This is the Silver Money Dude, also known as Critical Thought now. This is Jock Fresco. I want to go into a subject that I'm going to title, Are We Civilized Yet? He makes an interesting statement. This is a movie called Future by Design that was produced, might have been maybe 2 years ago. Very, very, very good in-depth look at what the Venus Project is capable of doing for us, what the future can look like. Jock actually does an excellent job of giving scientific and technological examples and explanations of what the future can look like and why. He breaks down and explains the way that engineering and the way that things can actually be built using the least amount of materials, the ability for us to create cities that have no waste, that clean the air, produce clean food, creates a clean environment for us to live in. And I mean, all of this is possible, but it's not just possible, it's probable. And we actually already have the technology and the resources to make it a reality. So as we move forward in a lot of these videos, I'm going to cover very specific information and very specific things that we can do to move this forward, because it's something that we don't have to sit on and we don't have to wait for some type of calamity or economic collapse to take place, which is going to happen anyway by itself without us doing anything. It's just the design of the way that the system is that will cause it to self-destruct. It's impossible. It's just an impossible system, and I hope that you all understand that. I'm going to be getting into the banking system and the way that the monetary system will basically destroy itself, because it's what you think is money is not money. We don't use money anymore. What we use is currency, and currency is something that is not backed by anything all over the world. So that is an impossible system within itself. And once that does take place and the system does self-destruct, we do have something as an alternative that we can use to benefit all people on this planet, not just developed nations, our country, not just people with wealth. No more of that. There can be no more of that, because with the conditions that exist, with all of this nuclear activity, war, and all of this bullying by one country over another, or one democracy over another, it has to stop. This is not what God's plan is for us as human beings on this planet. And there's no reason why we can't use the science and the technology that we already have to make this world better, not just for you and yours, but for every person on the planet. It's a right that we are all entitled to, and it's something that I believe very passionately in. So that's the direction that I'm moving in. The entire Silver Money Takeover is in full support of what the Venus Project has developed thus far. I've actually made contact with the people involved with the project. Roxanne Meadows. I've had communication with her. I'll get into the details of it later, but this is something that's very feasible and something that we should be doing right now. This is where our focus should be, because there's still hungry people. There's still people that are dying from starvation every 13 seconds. You have to realize that every time that you count to 13, another child just died from hunger somewhere on the planet that didn't have to. And that there is something that you can do, and it's something that you should do about it. And we have multiple means to be able to do something about it. So that's all I'm doing, is presenting what those means are. So I'm going to play a clip from Jock quickly. He's talking about civilization. Hang on.
And so when you go on with a word like civilization, it sounds like something that was attained. As long as you have war, police, prisons, crime, you're in the early stages of civilization, what they call civilization.
So that was just a brief clip that I wanted to play. I'm going to go into a few more clips from different parts of the movie and just discuss them briefly in this video. In this clip, Jock is introducing his blueprint for the city system that he has been working on to some of the visitors at the compound in Florida. Very, very interesting. I want you guys to really get into the Venus Project so that you understand why I'm so passionate and I keep talking about it. Just listen.
Here you have the city system. I put domes here, but there'll be very many variations. In other words, yes.
What are those?
These are research centers.
Okay.
This is medicine, agronomy, population designing, improvement of products, energy systems. Energy in the future will be geothermal, most of it. You can get that from the earth. There's enough geothermal energy for thousands of years without worrying about anything. And I'm not talking about solar, wind power, or wave power, or tidal power. All that is extra. So there's no shortage of anything except brains in Washington.
You can't make money from the sun.
What's that?
You can't make money from the sun.
No, you can't. Exactly that. Now all these things can come apart and be recycled.
Here he continues to talk about the round city and the idea behind it and why it's something that should be used. Hang on.
A round city, a round governmental branch. And then extending out of it would be the Department of Agriculture, Education, Oceanography, the disciplines. The circular scheme or plan brings each district closer to the central dome, which contains the medical, food, shopping, everything else that people need. The circular arrangement makes it easier to operate using far less energy than any other system. And if you start at one end of the city and go through the city, you always return to the same place. Whereas in a linear city, you go to one end, you have to backtrack to get to the same point. So the circular scheme is by far the most efficient. And when cities are contracted in the future, they will be contracted as a whole, as an entire system. In that way, all of the parts and components would be delivered in stages. Like sequence 1 will be the underground, the heating system, the electric generators, the piping systems, the recycling systems. Then after that, the next layer, which would serve as the first layer that contains the architecture, the foundations for all the buildings, and after that, the erection of structures up from the foundations, starting with the central portion of the city, working its way out to the different radial sectors, and then out to the final housing sectors, and then to the agricultural belt, and then to the recreation areas. The cities themselves are prefabricated. Most of the elements that comprise the structures of the cities are interchangeable, interlocking. They are designed so they can be disassembled just as they were assembled. So the new cities will be updated continuously. As the waters are piped into the cities, they are checked. And to whatever extent contamination exists, the water processing plants evaporate the water, recondense it, and cleanse it. In other words, all waters piped into the city will be monitored constantly, not by a monitoring system, but several monitoring systems. The same is true of the air above and around the city. It's constantly monitored. All of the rooftops are photovoltaic. All of the outer skin of the building converts solar radiation into electrical energy. As we move beyond the third sector, we come to tennis courts, parks. Beyond that is the residential district, which consists of lakes, waterfalls, all kinds of beautiful plants throughout the area. And each house is concealed by plants, so you can't see another building. Some people prefer, as in the next sector, to live in apartment houses. The apartments have drama groups, recreation swimming pools, discussion groups, and so many other facilities. The disadvantage of living in a private home is you would have to go to the various places to access the same things.
Now, I hope you guys see what I'm talking about. I mean, you can see all of the planning and all of the consideration for the needs of people, the environment, the ecosystem, nature. There's concern not only for human beings, but there's concern for the planet. There's concern for the animals on the planet. This is way bigger than what you might think it is. This is not just some, some new futuristic type of Jetson thing that this guy, this weirdo, created. I mean, this is scientific and engineering, technical ideas laid out in a way that can actually be put into reality on our planet, like right now, not the future. See, this guy has been doing this stuff for roughly 75 years, if I'm not mistaken. He's close to 98 years old now, Jacques Fresco. And this is, I mean, when you see this information, if you're not blown away by this, and if this doesn't just immediately, set your mind free as to what the potential for our human culture is, and what it can be, and what it should and will be. I mean, what more do you want? What do you want out of life other than to be able to actually do something to change the lives of millions of other people that don't have access to the same things that you currently do? And I'm talking about something that's real, something that can actually be done. Hang on. This is Roxanne Meadows, the lady I mentioned earlier that I've been in touch with. She does an excellent job of explaining something pertaining to religion and spirituality. So just listen in.
I look at this as everything he's doing is to be as being the utmost in spirituality. Instead of looking for a better world later after you die, it's really building the type of things that all religious teachings talk about here on earth. We don't have to wait till we die for that. We can confront our problems today and not wait for the Messiah to come with the white robe and change things, or not wait till we all go to heaven at a certain time, or those believers that go to heaven at a certain time. We can deal with the problems today. For instance, in religion, they put things on the will of God. If there's an accident, it's the will of God, and it stops you from thinking. It stops you from being innovative. It stops you from thinking about, well, how do we redesign the transportation system so we don't have those problems anymore? So he's worked with priests and he's worked with religious people and kind of expand their horizons a bit so they can be more creative. They look at the environment that shapes people's behavior, and they don't call them good or bad anymore. They think about shaping the environment to get more constructive behavior.
So I just wanted you guys to, get an idea of why I'm so passionate now about the direction that we're moving in. As I'm ending this video, you can see that this is some of the direction that Jack is going in as far as the way that the cities will look. But I'll come back and talk about some other things in a future video. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Facebook.com/GetRichSlow. YouTube.com/SilverMoney2013. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and check out these videos and walk with me. Peace and love.